Hello and welcome to another moneybackbet.com daily update. And before we start talking about the fixtures from the 29th, I just want to say how great it is that the 28th has finished, because it was a dismal day. It was a day where a lot of surprises happened, and before we jump into today's fixtures, of which there are 4 in the Premier League in England, we're going to take a look at the freak results, is how I describe them, the games that happened yesterday. And if we just take a look at the big board here, you can see the Premier League matches at the top. I knew today was going to be bad when West Ham went 1-0 up in the 4th minute, I believe, through a Joe Cole. First of all, is that a freak stat, or is that a freak stat? I believe that that it is. Sorry, let me just drop this here for those of you that are on the video. Taking the under position in this game and talking on the preview show like we did yesterday, it was clear that our position was that there's not going to be goals in this game, and I distinctively remember myself saying, and I'm quoting myself here, there's going to be no 3-2 or 3-3 drama. No team is going to be coming back. This game is not going overs. And the last thing you want to see after 4 minutes is blast from the past Joe Cole coming in to pop one home, and then really a freak 5 minutes at the end of the first half that saw West Brom go into the lead 2-1. So at least when you are taking that line, you know where you're standing at the end of the first half. And to be honest, we took a position at half time to trade more goals in the second half, and we were right in doing so. We didn't need 3 goals in order to take a winning position, but the fact that there were 3 goals was very good for us. So poor start with West Ham, ended up turning it around on that game in particular, but you can't predict all of them, and I think that the fact that West Brom score 3 goals away from home is going to be something that maybe haunts our model for the next couple of weeks. We'll see. Anyway, that was freak result number 1 that set the game up. And apologies, because I am slightly ill, so apologies if I'm coming across slightly nasal, or if I need to pause now and then for something to sip on. But anyway, moving on. Aston Villa 1, Swansea 1. As predicted yesterday, we said that it was going to be a low-scoring game. We mentioned a 1-0 home or away win or a 1-0 draw. So we were correct in our thinking there. We stayed away from the game. It wasn't anything. There was nothing there for us in terms of value, and another freak result came really with Villa scoring a goal in the first half of a match, which is the first time they've done that this season, which is just another bizarre stat that got broken today. You can add a few more of those bizarre stats that happened at Hull, and it's very difficult, if not nigh on impossible, to predict that there's going to be 6 goals in the second half of a game that's 0-0 at half time. It's very difficult to predict that. When you look at the minutes and the manner that these goals were scored, especially from a 14-minute period where Hull actually managed to score 4 goals. These are freak things in football. Robert Corrin scored his first goal in 3 years. Then he went on to actually get a brace in the game. Tom Huddleston scored his first goal since April 2011, and now he's going to cut his hair, and he actually had his haircut as part of his celebration. And apologies. Bear with me 1 second. We're doing it as professional as we can in the conditions that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Huddleston gets a haircut, and he's looking like Glenn Hoddle in that team. Even now with the swagger, dare I say it, he's the modern Glenn Hoddle. He's everything that encapsulates modern football. I think he's got tattoos. He must have tattoos, right? Yeah, he is. He's definitely the quarterback of that side, and good on him, because with a good run up, and this is something that Steve Bruce actually said, and I've got to say, I think he's bang on with a good run up, why can Big Tommy Hudd not make it into the England squad? Why can that not happen? I think it's viable. I think that our tempo when we play in South America is going to be slow. It has to be slower. It's definitely not going to be Premier League pace. And as we draw up to the World Cup, you'll start to see, we'll start to talk about how we're going to create a new model for the World Cup, and really try and take some of these new variables, or not new variables, but highlighted variables in mainstream media, and try and do something cool with that. But anyway, I'm digressing. Back to the point. Huddlestone should be in the England squad for the World Cup. It's going to be a slow game. He's going to be fantastic for us. Will he be fashionable enough? Is it a standout selection for Uncle Roy? Who knows? But freak game, freak second half. We had the overs. We told you that there was going to be value in taking the overs, and we hit that very nicely indeed. So well done to everyone who managed to take part in that. As you can tell, freak results are happening all over the place, none more so than Manchester City versus Crystal Palace, which ended 1-0 to Manchester City. And for those of us that bet goal makeup, and like we do, really not a great day at all for taking the over. And we sat so confidently saying there will be 3 goals. There, at least 100% there'll be 3 goals in this game. There isn't anything to point towards there not be. Maybe Pulis has just firmed it up a little bit too much. Maybe the 3 wins that they have had in their last 5 coming into the game really did spur them on and give them an added advantage that we couldn't put into mathematics. Maybe that's a challenge that we need to keep working on. But I can think all of that in my mind and start to worry about how how much work and how much consistent work you really need to do to maintain the model and blah blah blah. But then you just need to look at the statistics in the game to prove that it was a freak result, because it's a freak day of football. 23 goal attempts from Manchester City, 11 block shots, meaning only 4 shots got on target, 12 corners just for City. It defies belief that there was only 1 goal from them in this game. 77% possession. It was something that was really crazy in that game as well. So, yeah, again, it's just absolutely crazy. Anyway, those of us that had the overline on the Manchester City game could have got beaten twice. Firstly, by taking the main over bet, and secondly, by taking up an overs position during the game, probably depending on half time or later, at a line of 1.5 at least, and would have lost that. Similar to the Norwich-Manchester United game that was also 0-0 at half-time, if you took a position in that over 1.5, you wouldn't have got filled necessarily to win. So, well, not on the one line, but freak result of Manchester City. They're much better than that, and I think the probability of these 2 teams meeting again tomorrow and playing their game again, it wouldn't finish 1-0. Absolutely no way. So we were very unlucky there. Norwich, Manchester United. Some people, we saw this late on during the day, got big money in on the unders. And to be fair, it was definitely a smart move at the end of the game. And I think that it was a difficult one to judge, regardless of Wayne Rooney being outside of the Manchester United team. I mean, Wayne Rooney does affect Manchester United stats. That's 100% in a lot of different categories, and modelling a game with him and without him does yield very different results. But even so, we believe the game would go over, pointing to the way that Norwich play their football as well, and the run that United are on. And we're starting to see Manchester United breathe into life again now. They always come good at the end of the season. That's what has been instilled into them. And when you think about how many comebacks, how how the opposition know that United are going to come back, and it's that model of they leave it late. It's just built into the season, and it happens every year. I've been saying for a number of weeks now, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if United win the league. This season, I do think it's a very, very tall ask. Not because it's Moyes' first season, because I don't believe Moyes necessarily is really having too much of an effect or influence at this stage. I don't believe he is. I still think it's very early. A lot of things are going to be running on the same rails that Ferguson had them, with slightly different staff. So maybe now is a little bit of... I still see it as round pegs in square holes. Or should that have been square pegs in round holes? Anyway, back to the point. I'm blaming this all on the flu, by the way. I don't normally go this far off topic. But coming back, we foresaw there to be goals in this game. The numbers pointed towards there being so, but unfortunately there wasn't. And it was a pretty dire game. United were, I thought, particularly poor today. Not many chances, only slightly over 50% possession, and they just contained themselves. And literally after their goal was scored, they gave it another 10 minutes or so, and I believe just before 70 minutes they shut up shop and they really shut down. So I think we got unlucky due to the time of Danny Welbeck's goal, but maybe it was a masterstroke substitution by bringing the guy on. Who knows? So not much value in there either, and not much value in the City game. The Cardiff-Sunderland game was our last piece of incorrect prophecy, where again we stated that for both teams who score an average of 0.72 goals per game this season, how on earth could this be a goal fest? Finished with Sunderland getting what I can only be the football fans' heroic comeback in the 93rd minute and 52nd, literally with 10 seconds left on the clock, to equalise against Vincent Tan's Lonely Red Army. Unbelievable scenes. And Sunderland were worth their 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of football they played. We didn't take up a position in the game because we didn't feel that there would be any sort of value in here. However, we kept an eye on things, and with the game being 1-0 in the first half so early, really we didn't want to get involved and start taking any goal lines in the game. And if we would have taken an overs line in the game after the first goal was scored, by half time we probably would have taken out the position. So it was good that we didn't get involved in that one, and well done to Sunderland, because they finally look like they're a team coming back. They're a team with some fight and some passion, and we know that Gus can really rile up players, and always interesting. Every time I see or I hear about Gus, I just think to myself that during his time at Brighton, he was such a fantastic manager, and I think he had access to a real different set of statistics and mathematics that he would have had anywhere else. And I think for those of people that understand what I'm talking about will obviously get the point here. But Gus Poyet is very well educated in the way of football, and I think he takes that, and then he takes this sort of passion and almost Englishness in the way that he man manages. You can see him man managing like Harry. You can see him being that sort of guy, and whenever people talk to him in the press and he describes what he wants for his team, he's just like, winners. I want winners. He doesn't say it like that. He says it with his funny accent, but winnish. And that's what he's like. And he, I don't know. He makes a spine tingle, makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck when he starts getting passionate. And isn't that really what football's all about? And is this Sunderland comeback actually going to happen this season? I think it was Danny Murphy on Match of the Day that quoted that the smart money is on Sunderland staying up. I can assure you the smart money at the moment is not on Sunderland staying up, at least from my perspective. But then again, I'm not Danny Murphy, am I? Moving forwards. And thank you very much to flashscore.co.uk for providing all of the information here. You can also find them on flashscore.com, and they'll point you to the your native country's version of the website, which is really fantastic. So, moving on to the Premiership games for today. Let's have a look. So we've already taken out some stats for you. 4 games being played today, and some obvious choices to see sort of straight away. Firstly is the matchup between Newcastle United and Arsenal at St James's Park. Sorry, I just want to verify that the game is at St James's Park. So I just had a really funny sensation. No, it is. Okay. Apologies. Always a fascinating encounter. The 4-4. I mean, words can't describe how I felt on that day. It was a very good day for us. Newcastle now with the highest shots on target ratio in the Premiership. It just points to there being goals. It points to it being a fantastic game of action. Can Arsenal contain Newcastle? Can they play that containing, patient game against Newcastle? I don't think they can. I think Pardew knows very well how to play against Arsene Wenger, and I think Pardew will have a plan, and a few different ones at that, and there will be action in the game, and Arsenal will be tested by a Newcastle team who, if they, like I said on the last show, if the Newcastle team at the moment were scoring maybe 10% more of the chances that they get on target, they would be top 3. Okay, here's a team who is smashing it right now and are getting unlucky. They have the highest shots on target. They're scoring the least of them. It's still a great stat to have. So 295 as an average makeup for Newcastle Arsenal leads us to definitely take the game on the over. Anything over 2.5 at 175 or higher would take our interest right now. And just taking a look at the early lines. You can see that we can get action at 1.8. 1.8 is actually falling down. For some people, they might see this as an unfashionable bet to or position to take up. We let the numbers speak for themselves, and I think it's actually has the third highest probability of there being goals than all of the matches that have been played this weekend. So we're definitely going to go for Arsenal over 2.5 in the match. Big movements from 181 down to 176 over the past 3 days, and Pinnacles indicate that some big ones have gone in again on the 28th. 181. Wow. So there is money going in on the over. That's plain to see. So that'll be good. That's going to be us for tomorrow. Everton Southampton. We're actually arguing with a couple of the traders today, because there are some people that, especially on the goal lines, believe that this game has all the ingredients to be a real glutton tomorrow. Later this afternoon. And others, like myself, who are saying no, definitely not. And I'm not confident enough to take an under position in the game, but I am confident enough to say that it's not something that we'll be getting involved with. I think Everton are going to want to prove a point after the loss to Sunderland earlier over the festive period on Boxing Day. They're going to want to rue that back, but they face a Southampton team who even it's difficult to say because Pochettino has them set out in a really exciting way. And for anyone who's watched a lot of South American football, Argentinian football, and maybe teams in the Spanish league like Athletic Bilbao and Levante, you'll understand how Southampton are setting out at the moment, and they're doing a really fantastic job of it. And I think that Southampton can get results whenever they choose. It depends which Southampton turns up on the day. Again, cliche. I know. I don't mean for it to come out this way. They have lost 2 in their last 5. They have only won 1, but it was a good victory, and I think Everton are going to face the same struggle that they faced against Sunderland. Be it that was a freak red card, freak penalty, freak result in general because Everton had to play on with 10 men and still created chances, but that was still on the 44th or 45th minute of that game, and Sunderland held them back for a half. Everton didn't break their record. Maybe there was some pressure on their shoulders that we couldn't account for, but we see it to be similar. And even though it's very close, it's very touch and go whether the 3 will happen or not. It's just not enough value in the markets for us to actually say yes, we're going to take it, because when you actually look at the price for the game, it's clear that it's not worth the risk, and we'll just flick it up very, very quickly. Very interesting that some of the prices are starting to fall. And maybe that's what we were talking about, the price going from 2 down to 191 since Boxing Day, is the fact that they did lose their last game, and now there is that bounce back ability, that the feeling of we're going to come out and annihilate this team. I don't think they're playing a team that are going to get annihilated. I think they're playing a very, very well organised team who on their day can definitely score goals, and on their day it's safe to say as well that Everton can concede, which is also showing their numbers here are basically a goal a game. So one for us to avoid, which takes us to Spurs versus Stoke, which is also another one for us to avoid altogether. Tottenham are a team that we're waiting to see whether they actually turn the corner or not now. Now it's crunch time. It's going to be 2014 in a matter of days. So this is it, lads. All of those Tottenham boys that have come in have now had their probation. It's finished, and it's now up to them to prove their worth or not. And Tim Sherwood, look, he's not my first choice manager as a Tottenham fan. If I was a Tottenham fan, he wouldn't be my first choice manager. I think he's had great experience of playing and of winning, but winning in the winning Premier League matches I'm talking about. He's also obviously never played abroad, doesn't have the sort of experience and culture that comes from going to other countries and learning different things. So he's very much an Englishman, English bred, going to play the English way. Funny, sets his first game up 4-4-2, patting people on the back, talking about Harry, giving youngsters goal bonuses, blah blah blah. It's just not. I don't want to say intellectual enough because that makes me sound like a real snob, but I find he's not clever enough. But maybe I'm completely wrong, and time will tell. And he's just this likeable guy. You compare him to someone like Roberto Martinez, and you know what I'm saying. You can tell that Martinez has deep deep knowledge there about a lot of aspects of management. And with Sherwood, sometimes I think he had great luck and timing. He was there at the right place at the right time. Harry Redknapp in his book speaks about how Tim Sherwood had the ear of the ear of the chairman, and how Levy's always shown an interest. And with the circus that Spurs has been over the past couple of months, I'm glad that finally we have got a new manager in place who the chairman has a good link with. If the chairman tells him play Adebayor, he's going to play Adebayor, and I think that's a good thing for the club. I think it's going to breed some stability. We're going to work in a different way, and let's see. But coming back to the game tomorrow, Tottenham just aren't firing in the league enough, even with the win over Southampton, where they managed to get 3 away from home. Still, the unimpressive 1 goal at home to West Brom, who, don't forget, West Ham just managed to score 3 against them at home. They conceded 3. Tottenham only managed to get the 1, and their 106 per game with 133 conceding is quite similar to Stoke's scoring 144 conceding. It could be another 1-1 like the West Brom game before it. And can you see Tottenham bouncing back or having that motivation like in Everton? Not right now, I can't. In the goal makeups, you can see are very, very similar. They're very, very similar types of matches that are going to be played. 5th versus 9th, 8th versus 10th tomorrow. And we're staying away from both of them in terms of goal markets because it's too close to call. We don't want to say over. We don't want to say under. The crude metrics point to us not doing it. Our automated platform is actually telling us to take a position on the Everton game, which we're not going to do. Looking at value in the Spurs game, there probably isn't any because Tottenham are quite a fashionable team, and I believe that teams in fashion tend to get too much press and horrible prices. 189 over 2.5, horrible line. Started at 209 though, drove down to 189 within 2 days. I think that's hype, if I'm being honest with you. Although it was on Pinnacle, 365 is always a good indication. Yeah, I think that's book balancing. So Tottenham Stoke, we're not going to take any part of with the lead, which leaves us with one last game in the league, which is Chelsea versus Liverpool, the big one. Just letting you guys peruse the numbers. Average goal makeup of 320 in the game. Chelsea at 283, Liverpool at 356. Massive for Liverpool. Something that comes true even away from home. Phenomenal goal scoring averages here, and we're just showing you the general average. We're not showing you the home away split that we have. Also to hand. Otherwise, the whole thing would just become a maths lecture, which we do want to get as much of that in as possible, but we don't want to do it to the extent where we bore people. But we also don't know what that extent is yet, so the feedback is always very has always been very little up to now. So moving on. Chelsea-Liverpool shows all the signs of there being goals. It's purely up to the market to dictate whether we can get involved or not. It's also going to be, like I said, a fashionable game, one with a lot of attention. There's going to be a lot of pressure coming into it. We know Chelsea can go into themselves and hold themselves in these types of matches. We've just seen them do it against Arsenal, where I believe Jose played for the 0-0, and he got exactly that. 175 is going to be the biggest that you can get. Taking it from Pinnacle, that price is actually decreasing, which makes us feel better because we will be taking an over position in the game. And again, we know a lot of traders who are taking the under, and there are a few reasons for taking the under. There is phenomenal value from even some of the really big books at anything from 2-2 up to 2-3, which is fascinating, especially because Chelsea are unpredictable. And we started off the show yesterday by saying how Chelsea are an annoyance and Chelsea are unpredictable, and how can we model Chelsea correctly? And the very next game we're like, okay. The value is on Chelsea. It's very difficult to judge, but I think that even at Stamford Bridge, Mourinho has inherited a subpar Chelsea team. This certainly isn't the Chelsea team that won him the league. It's a long way from it, even though some of the players are still there. It's a long way from it, and to control Liverpool is going to be very, very difficult. And I don't think that they're going to be able to keep a clean sheet tomorrow. They're going to have to come out and score, and I believe Chelsea will have their goals in them tomorrow. And it's going to be a very interesting game to see. And if it's 0-0, then I'm sure we'll have some good reasons why. There'll have to be some incredible keeping, some ridiculous blocks off the line in order for that to actually happen. So we'll look out for those freak stats anyway, but we're going for the over 2.5 goal line in that game at 175 or higher if we can find it. And it'll be a great game as well on the Sunday afternoon, and that's also what football's all about in one way or another. But to conclude and take a look at the selections that we have for tomorrow in the Premier League, Newcastle versus Arsenal, we're taking the over, and Chelsea versus Liverpool, we're also taking the over. We gave out some bonus selections yesterday, where we said that the goal line in the early Australia game, take 2 goals or over. The goal markup was 2, so people got pushed, and actually was a fantastic equaliser in the 93rd minute free kick by the young Brazilian to level the game up for Western Sydney Wanderers. It was absolutely fantastic goal, and so we got a push there. And the other game was our big overs tip in the Superliga, which ended up 0-0 in Turkey. We haven't got the goal report. I haven't had the metrics sent in yet. I will take a brief look at them. I think the briefer the better. So we'll completely forget that game. Anyway, one for you to look out for in Turkey tomorrow night. This is a super pick between Fenerbahce and Kayserispor. If you just take a look very quickly at the league positions, Fenerbahce are crushing it, top of their table, 5 points clear with a game in hand. They're going to go 8 points clear tomorrow when they play relegation-bound Kayserispor, and the stats talk volumes. Although Kayserispor, to their advantage, do not concede too many. So can Fenerbahce keep it down? We don't think they will. We're going to bet 2.75 on this game for sure. Early action in the Australian League, Adelaide take on Newcastle. Very, very, very good value here on the over line. We won't be having a whole unit on the over, but we'll certainly be taking anything from 2.05 or higher on that one. And I do believe that there's also some good value in that game, so it's not worth staying up too getting up too early. But if you're listening to this and you're not live, then I think that this game may already have passed. So let's see if we were right or wrong. You can be the judge. And in the Championship, a couple of games with teams who do score a lot of goals. We're taking overlines on Barnsley, Derby and Bournemouth. Ipswich tomorrow is bonus games because there's not really too much action going on in the top leagues in Europe because of the Christmas break, and we're looking for other value out there. So that is our complete field for tomorrow. 6 games there, units being placed on Newcastle, Arsenal over 2.5, Chelsea, Liverpool over 2.5. We have smaller units going in on the Adelaide Newcastle game over 2.5, Barnsley Derby over 2.5, Bournemouth Ipswich over 2.5, Fenerbahce Kayserispor in the Turkish Superliga over 2.75. Thank you very, very much for staying with us this long and for checking out all of the analysis, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please go to moneybackbet.com and actually take a look at the website and all of our news and all of our videos and see what we're actually offering and what we're giving back. And the community really starts there. So anyway, it's been a pleasure. Hope to get back to you very soon. This has been moneybackbet.com. Let's do it.